it was going to be a coffee time video, but I'm going to do a room tour in my next vlog, which I said I wasn't doing a vlog, but hey ho, it has to be done. So I basically pulled this table around from where it was. I'm going to put it back because it's not ideal putting it here. It's literally a trip hazard, but finishing my hot chocolate. I was done with that. I've got room to put the mug there. So yeah. Nice little nice little setup. Oh. Which is what you want. Oh. So anyway, what did I want to talk about? I want to talk about some lost media. Well, it's not exactly lost because everyone knows in the wild, like, you can see all the way back if you want. To the makings of a website which we made, which was Cyberclowns. But yeah, and all the Reddit stuff, but I think, you know, I discussed this before, but there was massive setups on a platform called Roblox, which is technically a load of shit. Like, everyone on Roblox is there for, excuse the French, but it's there for, like, Roblox is made for trolls, that's what it's made for. It's not made for actual people, it's made for trolls who, all they want to do is troll the fuck out of everybody. And that's why it was made. That's why they brought Roblox out. And that's what happened. and they the people like the people they did it like they said that they were coming from a Discord server, but they weren't. And this is all the stuff that I was getting. And trust me, I've spent most of this whole thing. I think grief is a strange thing. It fucks up people so fucking bad. I lost a mate last week who I'd had a bit of beef with towards the end. I say beef, wasn't, well, whether you call it beef or not, but you sort of have to let things go. And I announced it today at my gig. And I've never been one to crumble, like, be emotional about it all, but I just did. And the amount of support I felt from everybody in the room was amazing. Incredible. I've never, in all my times, I could tell stories. I could tell you tales of the stage where I've been, I won't say glassed, but I've had drinks thrown at me. I've had cables ripped from me. I've had arguments on stage. I've had arguments with people in the audience. I've had laughter too. I've had jokes with the audience. I've even flirted with the audience, flirted with barmaids, flirted with people in the room. I even told people to get up and dance and stuff like that. I used to say, get the fuck up and dance, all that kind of shit. Get up and dance and make some noise for the person in the back of the room. Tell that person he's not dancing, and there's a lot of shit that I did, but yeah. So today, my mate was like, "Are you gonna do it?" And I was like, I can do this. This is easy peasy. I can stand up. I can do it." But I felt a lot of emotion. I was taken back to the last week, and I thought, hold on, I've got to wheel it back. I've got to bring it back and bring my grief to the stage, because I felt I didn't have a lot of sleep last night, but you know what? I had a lot of energy to give today. Today has actually been one of the best sets I've ever done, because everything I felt, and to be honest, the Stepping Stones group, I'm going to say this, I feel like everybody in that room is family. To me, I feel like I know what friends really are, and friends, like, I know my community and their community, and what everyone's sort of on the same ship. And we're in the Temperance Hall, which I like to call like a central hub. Um, and I'm just hoping our group doesn't leave there, because we're propping up the Temperance. We're not Temperance, but we're propping them up. Do you know what I mean? We're propping up each other. You know, this is not me speaking as a DJ. This is me speaking as me. You know, and there's a girl I quite fancy in there as well, which I wouldn't go out. There's a girl I like. Let's put it that way. But Will, my friend Will, he went everywhere. We went outside the group. We did stuff together. We went wrestling, and I was really upset about this 20 quid. And I thought, I'm letting it go. £20's nothing. 20 quid's 20 quid. Yes, it's a lot. 20 quid's 20 quid. But Will spent a lot of time, we spent a lot of time. I made a lot of adventures. I'll never forget that time when we were walking around Liverpool at 2 a.m. in the morning looking for a hotel room. And this guy at the embassy, hostel, and I don't think he'd ever seen anybody like Will. Or myself. He'd never seen two vulnerable people at night. And I thought, fucking hell, this is like Mary and Joseph. Because this guy, he took us in. Will paid the money, and I could smell a bit of weed, which I thought, all right. I thought, we're staying in another one of those places, are we? I want to do a video on emergency living in another video, because I've seen it. Bunch of the places me and Will stayed. Like, I'm not going to talk about the other place, but I will talk about what I've seen. But this hostel was more friendlier. And I thought the other hostel was a homeless hostel, and they let me and Will stay there. This hostel is, it's an actual hostel. It's where people come, and it's a place for backpackers, not a homeless place. And I felt a bit uncomfortable, and the guys there, they could tell I felt a bit uncomfortable. So the guy that ran the hostel, he says, can I make you guys a drink? And I said, yeah. I said, I'll have a coffee. And he made a joke about Liverpool and Everton, and I was getting a bit of a vibe off this guy that was kind of, I don't know, unsure, but he's like, come on, sit down, take the load off your feet, because we'd been to the wrestling. And this guy, he was telling us how much he'd made at this hostel and people he knew, and this guy was telling stories, and then he was putting the music on. The guy next to us, and on the YouTube, he wanted all sort of 50s and 60s music on. This guy was a bit of a drinker. He couldn't settle it in one place. There was a woman that had got lost, and this couple, this woman, she was looking for a taxi or something. They'd lost anyway. This couple were coming back. There was two couples, and there was a foreign couple, and they found this girl. And there was a cat. This cat had come in. And this cat was like, hey, this is a warm place, And the cat could tell I was a bit anxious, but I was trying to hide it. You can't hide things from animals. You can't do it. And yeah. Anyway, my mate, I said, we can't stay on these bunk beds, I'm not going to be able to climb on this bed. Yeah, I'll put you in the... Put you in the warehouse, in the warehouse. We'll put you in the staff room, right? Yeah, mate, I'll clear all the papers off the bed. I'll put your bags in there. So put our bags in. He took my bag from me, my big bag, and I thought, I'm getting like a comfortable vibe off him. Anyway, I was on the low bed, I was fine. We put Bunny Rabbit in there. We put my pajamas in there. The guy made sure I was all settled. He said, yeah, I'll get your pajamas out, put my pajamas out. I went out my drink, came back. I was ready for bed because I wanted to go to bed because it was getting late. It was about 3 or 4 in the morning. And we had about 3 or 4 hours sleep. Because I was trying to ring Mummy saying, Mummy, I'm in Liverpool, stuck. But we were in this hostel. And the following day, I came home the following day. I went to Cherish and then I came home. But I think one of the carers in the room, they said, "Oh, he'll be watching over you." They could tell that I was going, breaking down, but trying to keep it together. And the silence was deadlier than any silence I've ever done. But everyone can see I'm up and down, up dead excited, up with the clouds 1 minute, and then down in the doldrums the next. It's just like piss and wind. The sunshine comes for a little bit, washes the rain, and the rain comes back. And it's weird because I've hardly felt much. Do you know what I mean? I've felt a lot of guilt because I wish I could have done something as well. And as human beings, we like to poo and piss on each other. It's just we're the top of the food chain. And because we're top of the food chain, we like to fuck everybody else up to remind each other that we are top of the food chain. That's why people have to be a status symbol. I don't want to be that anymore. I don't want to be this thing that, and here's the thing, I know I'm not alone. Even though for the past week I've felt the loneliest ever. But I've realised I'm not. It's just human instinct. And human instinct tells you you're alone. But faith, having that tells you you're not alone. But it's the human instinct that says you have to be alone because, and it's the first time in my fucking life that I've felt that. Because as a whole, like, two people gone, like, when my next door neighbour went, I felt sad and that, but I never felt this bad. I never felt this pain. But it comes and goes. I mean, I'm better than last week because I was up and down and didn't know whether I was coming or going. I mean, after Neil died, the grief, like, after, I was holding a lot in, which turned me into a real rebellious person. Because I was rebellious, but when after Neil died, there was no one to do the rebellious conversations with. And I lent into being more rebellious. I went back home, like home, not to the bedroom in, you know, the home that the parents moved with me, but that's, do you know what I mean? And like, I tried to be more rebellious because I was back home and I wasn't, it didn't feel home to me. It felt like I didn't have a home, do you know what I mean? So I felt rebellious. And when you feel rebellious, you look for hope and you start doing things that you start doing stuff. You start drinking more, you start becoming somebody that you're not. And I was like that for 5 or 6 months. And then people just couldn't tolerate me. You know, I became more argumentative, and I think now I've settled down again. You know, I'm tired of being, I'm tired of being rebellious. Do you know? Because being rebellious means you've got to really, you know, you've got to hold on to something. And I had to just, I let go of it completely. Um, I didn't want to get drunk anymore, or I've actually started drinking less because, and trying to respect my parents more because they love you, you know, and people love you, they hold you up. And trying this new regime, whatever the frick that is. But people that love you, they stay. People that don't, fuck off. They go away, they don't stay, they don't stick around. They don't hold you up, they don't believe in you. They just pretend to believe in you. Who have we got? Button. Academy. 67. Button. Icons of chat options. Button. Academy. 67. Button. Icons available. 6-7, love it. Adult Adult 1469. Button. Icons available. Hey? Academy. Adult Adult 1469. Double button. Button. Icons available. Double the fun. Wow, love it. Messages Elder review. New message. Academy. Hey. Button. Icons available. Can I be mod? Button. I'm gonna say no because tell you what, subscribe. Here's the thing. Subscribe, and then if somebody fucks up in the comment section, then I'll think about it. If you stick up for me in the comments, so if someone's being a dick or whatever, We'll think about it then. Whoa. I'd only do that if you're on OnlyFans and we're not. So frick that. You know, you really think, like, I'm gonna say this now, right? Porn nowadays is so more disgusting and violent than it ever used to be. You know, I'm not talking about guys giving the odd on the you know, I'm talking about I understand people have a fantasy, but it's like freaking hell. Um, but it's got like a lot of it's gone to um, a lot of people got fetish with poop, and it's like, you know, um, and I personally just think like there is a place for that. Do you know what I'm saying? There is a place, and I'm not saying it's wrong to have a fetish or whatever, but it's just it's not everybody's cup of tea. And people talk about it as if it's like, because the best way to approach it, I remember one time I was on Dabble and there was people talking about porn, right? If you don't know what Dabble is basically, it's a talking service. It's a chat service, but it's for people who want to talk. Um, and through COVID, they were putting a lot of these chat apps as, a form of social media. So people using it. And I used Dabble for what? I used Dabble for 4 years. Until I was trolling everyone left, right, and centre. And then Dabble had. And then I was breaking the community guidelines because I was 8-Bit Devil on Dabble. And I was breaking into chat rooms. Because they would sometimes come in and they would say, come on in. But then you get a lot of, the problem with Dabble in the end was there was a lot of Christians that came on there, or people that were just like, hey, I ain't down with that shit. And so anyway, but there was this one room on Dabble, right? And it was like an 18 plus room. And in that room, they had these people talking about porn. And there's a guy playing a guitar in the background. He was pretty sound. There was a few people that were, and they spoke to me, but the rest of them were just like, and so I listened. And I left the room very quickly because they went on to poop. They were talking about poop. And I said, what's scat and everything? And they were talking about, they were describing to me poop preferences. And they asked me, right, what are my thoughts of people? Something to do with, what's my thoughts with poop in sex? And I just left the conversation. That was my cue to leave because I'm just like, I ain't into that. I'm sorry. I'm into it. It's just, it's a bodily function, but when it comes to dealing with other people's poop, then yeah. Obviously, if you're in a relationship with somebody, that's different because that's different because you would get into it if you loved someone. I'm not saying, man, this is a bit of a deep one, but it's like, all right, here's one for you, right? If you loved someone so deeply and suddenly, say you farted in a room while you were in the moment right? You just laugh at it. You just laugh it off. It's an emotion. It's like, man, again, it's a bodily function. But some people aren't into it. But if you were watching a bit of entertainment, or for me, listening to a bit of entertainment, you and yes, there is audio. Um, they now actually have started doing radio plays, um, or ASMR podcasts, but that's another discussion for another day. But personally, I'm quite boring. I'm into just the regular stuff, me. I'm not into, you know, I like a bit of a story behind it, you know? Um, I like a bit of build up because that gets the excitement, you know? And then once it gets into it, wow, that's it. That does it for me. But to be honest, I'm not even, you know, I'm not in my early 20s anymore. So I find other things that, that are, that get you going. Like, a lot of these hypno things are, um, again, that sort of, it's entertainment, but it's like when you read a book, you're so into the moment. It's like if you were watching a film, you'd be able to look away from it, but a book, you're so engrossed in it, and that's the same thing with hypnotization. You're so engrossed in the moment that you can't look away from it. You can, but it would spoil the moment. It would spoil the magic. Even a magazine. I'd say something, right? I'll tell you, we got FHN in class, right? This is a story. They were passing around. I couldn't read the articles, but oh my goodness grief. We could see the pictures. We could fantasize. And I was fantasizing that much over the pictures that one of my tutors, one of the helpers in the class, had to physically snatch it off me because I was drooling over the pages. But hey, they're things that you can't be done. It just can't be done now. People don't bother with magazines anymore. People don't fantasize properly anymore. They'd rather have the fantasizing done for them. Oh boy, I'm sounding like an old fart. But anyway, I don't know where the ants come from. I freaking well don't know where the ants come from. Hello.